Now it's time to get some color on this thing. But before we pull the die out, there's a couple things we got to do. First of all, I got to make sure you can see me on this camera, or see what I'm doing. Yeah, that'll work. What I'm going to do is, first of all, mark out where these stitch lines are going to go on the front and back of each piece. Now, this one, if you watched the last video, you saw that I did that in ink pen, and on the inside I used my scratch-all to scratch it in. Now I'm going to do the same thing with this side, and I'll show you why in just a minute. Doesn't have to be too deep. I just want to make sure that I mark it on the front and the back. On the inside, I do want to mark it deeper, because once this is dyed, this is going to show me where to put my glue. So I'm going to go ahead and just mark it with this. Doing it with the ink pen isn't going to work because I need these marks after it's dyed. So they have to be in the material, in the leather. And again, I'm just using my scratch-all. Do the same thing with this here. And if they're hard to see after I dye the leather, I can go ahead and take these pieces, I said peaches, pieces, and scratch it in again. Now the reason we want these marks is so we know where to bevel it. We're going to bevel it on the inside and the outside before we do any dye work. And I want to use those scratched in marks on the inside to show where I'm going to stop my bevel. Because once these two are glued together, even after it's formed, like, let me show you with that other holster again. After it's formed like that, that's going to be difficult to bevel. So I go ahead and I do it now. Well, I can easily get to the inside of the pieces. On both the top, and the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and get that done and we'll be back. Okay, now it's time to get some dye on this thing. I got a bottle of black dye and I'm going to stick it in my clamp. First, I'm going to shake it. Shake it real good. Clamp down on it, just to make sure I don't knock that over. Let's see now, I got some paper towels, old paper towels, just in case I need them. And a dauber. Now what I usually do is I'll start from the inside. Whoa, I gotta put a glove on. before I do anything else. I usually just put it on one hand. And now I can start dyeing it. And basically I just slop it on, particularly on the inside. I like to make sure I use lots of dye. Get it to really absorb in there. You know, if I could have like a designated leather dyeing station, I'd have tubs of the stuff and just dip it. Dip it and hang it up to drip dry. But I don't. So this is the way I do it. Don't have to worry about these parts so much. I like to get some dye on them. Because once you punch the holes through, you know, it'll show on the inside. Just a little bit, but that's enough. Really saturate the center though. And when it looks like it's reached the point that that's all the dye that it's going to take, then I'll flip it over to the other side. Pretty much the same thing, just put the dye on it. Soak the dauber, soak the leather. Like I said, I like to use lots of dye. Thing is, especially with black, is what it'll do sometimes is it'll show a little bit brownish through if you don't use enough dye. And sometimes that's kind of a cool look. I've done it on purpose before because it is kind of a cool look, but this one and most of the things that I dye black, I want black. And this looks like it's getting pretty close. You're having as much dye as it's willing to absorb on it. Now with other colors, other types of dye, I use different techniques. In fact, I have a mahogany holster coming up. So I use a completely different technique to put dye on it. Now, get it on these edges. I think my wife's playing chase with her cats. We got 3 cats and they're all little characters. I'm gonna put just a little bit more on.
Matt wins.
Well, were you guys playing chase?
Yes.
Ah.
He made it to the window before I caught him.
Just a little bit more on there just to make sure. Make sure I got all the way out to the edges, and I got the edges. Now set this guy aside. I'll do the same thing to the next one, and when this is dry, we're going to go ahead and finish this inside part and glue these guys together. And we'll see you then.